I was only 7 years old when my mother looked me straight in the eyes and said the words that would haunt me for the rest of my life. Stay here. Don't make a sound. Mommy will be right back. She kissed my forehead, locked the door of that small, dark motel room, and walked away. I waited. Hours turned into days. The food she left ran out. The water in the bottle grew warm. I cried until my voice disappeared. I was alone, terrified, and slowly starving in a city I didn't know. My own mother had left me for dead. My name is Elena, and for 23 years I believed I was worthless, the child nobody wanted. I grew up in foster homes, moving from one house to another, always feeling like an unwanted burden. I kept my head down, worked hard, and tried to build a quiet life for myself. I became a teacher, found a small apartment, and learned to smile even when my heart felt empty, that deep inside. The little girl who waited in that motel room never stopped asking one question. Why did she leave me? What I didn't know was that my mother hadn't just abandoned me. She had hidden a much bigger secret, one that involved power, danger, and a world I could never have imagined. Until the day everything changed. Last month, I received a letter from a law firm I had never heard of. It said I needed to appear at a government building in Washington, D.C. for an important matter regarding my biological mother. My hands shook as I read it. After all these years, she was reaching out, or was this just another way to hurt me again? I almost didn't go. The pain of being abandoned had shaped every part of me. I was scared that seeing her would break me completely, but something inside whispered that I deserved answers. So I bought a ticket and went. When I arrived at the massive federal building, 2 men in dark suits were waiting for me at the entrance. They didn't smile. One of them said softly, "Miss Elena Ramirez, please come with us." They escorted me through security without the usual long lines. My heart was pounding. I thought maybe my mother was in trouble and needed me. Or perhaps she was dying and wanted forgiveness. They took me through corridors I could never have entered on my own. Then we reached a set of heavy gates. That's when I saw them, Secret Service agents. Real ones, with earpieces and serious faces. They nodded at my escorts and opened the gates for me. I was led into a quiet, elegant room, and there she was, my mother. Older now, but still beautiful in that cold, distant way I remembered. She wasn't alone. A high-ranking government official sat beside her. She looked at me with tears in her eyes and whispered, "Helena, I never stopped thinking about you." But what she said next shattered me in a completely different way. She had been working undercover for the government. A dangerous operation against a powerful criminal network. When things got too risky, her handlers made a choice. They told her to disappear and leave no loose ends. I was the loose end. They convinced her that keeping me with her would get both of us killed. So she left me in that motel with a promise to come back once it was safe. She never came back. The operation dragged on for years. She was told I had been placed in a good home. She was told it was better this way. She believed them, or maybe she chose to believe them because the guilt was too heavy. I sat there feeling completely exposed. The woman who was supposed to protect me had chosen her mission over her own daughter. The betrayal cut deeper than abandonment ever could. I had spent my whole life feeling unloved and worthless, while she lived in a world of secrets and protection. Tears streamed down my face as years of pain poured out. "You left me to die," I said, my voice breaking. I was 7. "I waited for you every single day." She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. The pain was overwhelming. Yet somewhere in that storm of emotions, a quiet strength began to rise inside me. I was no longer the helpless little girl. I was a woman who had survived. Asterisk, the Secret Service agent stood respectfully at the door as my mother continued. She told me she had left the agency years ago. The guilt had finally become unbearable. She had spent the last few years searching for me, fighting through bureaucracy until she found where I was living. She had asked them to bring me here safely. One last request from someone who had once served her country, that I didn't feel pity. Not yet. I looked at her and said calmly, "You chose your secrets over me. You let me believe I was nothing. Now I'm going to choose myself." I stood up. The agents escorted me back through those same gates, but this time I walked with my head high. My mother called after me, her voice full of regret. But I didn't turn around. In the weeks that followed, I made my own choices. I accepted a generous settlement the government quietly offered as acknowledgement of what happened. I used part of it to start a foundation that helps abandoned and foster children feel seen and valued. I began speaking about my story, not for revenge, but so no other child would feel as invisible as I once did. My mother tried to reach out many times. Letters, calls, even flowers. Each time I felt the old pain rise, but I also felt stronger. I finally wrote her one letter. "You left me for dead in that room, but I didn't die. I survived. And I forgave you. Not for you, but for the little girl inside me who deserved peace. Today I stand tall." The same Secret Service that once helped hide the truth later escorted me through those gates so I could finally face it. Life has a strange way of bringing justice, not always loud and dramatic, but quiet and lasting. If there is one thing this painful journey taught me, it is this: even when the person who is supposed to love you the most leaves you behind, you still have the power to rise. You can turn your deepest wounds into your greatest strength. Never let someone else's choice define your worth. I am Elena. I was left behind, but I was never truly lost. And now I am finally free.